So, you want to start a business, or you want to take my advice and run your current life and what you do in the marketplace as a business. Well, I am going to share with you something I wish I would have learned 20 years ago to set you up for financial success. This is 20 years of me hitting my head against the same wall, and I'm going to share that with you so you don't have to after this.
Most people chase success. Few build it on a foundation that lasts. On The Invested Life with DanCan, we explore the intersection of faith, business, and personal growth, helping you invest in what matters most. This is your space to protect, provide, and promote with purpose. Join us now and start building a life you truly love.
Welcome back. I'm Dan Can, and this is the Invested Life podcast. This is the podcast where we invest in ourselves, others, and businesses. The two businesses that I really love investing in are insurance and real estate. We oftentimes say this: it's our job as leaders to provide, protect, and promote. And I love doing that each and every day. It's not easy, but I love it. This episode is a book report episode. If you haven't read this book, I hope you do. This is going to be about budgeting. This is going to be about financial mindset. This is going to be how you can set yourself up to financially win. We're going to file this under provide, but it also helps us protect and promote. The book we're going to focus on today is right here, Profit First, by Mike with the last name that I just don't want to even try to pronounce, but the book is called Profit First. I've read this book twice, and I can tell you from personal experience and from reading the principles in the book that it will radically help you in your financial journey as either a small business owner, entrepreneur, or if you want to run your life like you are a business. And oftentimes I say this, but Me Inc., right? Me Incorporated. You want to take care of yourself and your family. Can't support everything that he says in the book. I don't know if there's a single book outside of the Bible that I can say I support everything that the author says, but this is some fantastic principles that I would love to go over. One thing I want to jump into before we jump into the 4 points is this. I believe that we should be generous. And so I believe no matter where you're at, that you should give 10% of what you have away. I call that generosity. I call it tithing. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And so I believe that you're supposed to give 10% at least to the church. If you want to be generous, which the Bible encourages us to do, you definitely want to give more than 10%. I can tell you that my financial life changed when I decided that 10% of what I own was not mine. It was to give away. And that constraint, that control of money, I'm not going to say greed, but kind of like that, was lifted from me because I knew that when I was in control of my finances, and I was in control of my habits, I could tell the rest of my money where to go. So first and foremost, if you have a journal, if you're taking notes on your phone, first thing you want to do is give 10%. You can give that away to the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Humane Society, churches, universities, whatever you want to do. Okay, so write that down. Now, let's jump into the book. So this is what's really fascinating about this book is he takes some just big time principles and he brings it to just small, actionable steps. And that's what I want you to be able to do today with your finances, whether you're a business owner or you're just personal finances. I want to share a quick story, and it's kind of personal, but it definitely was part of my testimony. So in 2009, if you were alive then, you definitely know that there was a financial crash. There was a home market crash that really affected my family and I, and it did infect us and affect us in a big way. Basically, I lost 60% of my income in 2 weeks. That stayed that way for about a year and a half. That was a big hit for us. And so what happened was I just got scared. I kind of got into my shell. I stopped asking for help. I felt like I had to fix this by myself, which is so opposite of how I live my life. But I was hurting, I was ashamed, and I was scared. I don't know if you've ever felt that about your finances or your career, but that's where I was at. So a step that happened that I'm not proud of is I just stopped doing my books. I stopped doing my books for almost a complete year. And when it came for tax season time, I knew that I had to look myself in the mirror, put all the information in, and it was very humbling. I'll never forget this. I walked to US Bank and I said, "Hey, listen, I need 12 months of my bank statements." And she kind of looked at me because she knew me. And I said, "I know, it's been a very hard year. I've kind of sidestepped this." So she printed off 12 months of bank statements. I took that pile, I went back to my desk, and for 2.5 days straight, I implemented every single line item. So this is back before you could download everything. I had to reconcile every stinking thing, my checks, deductions, find the invoices. And I basically told myself after that 2.5 days that I would never, ever do this again. I would never be trapped in my finances. I'd never be ashamed of my finances. And so I made a pact with myself, a promise to myself that every Thursday morning from 7:30 to 8:30 that I would do the books. Now this is back in 2009, and I can tell you every Thursday from 7:30 to 8:30 I am doing the books. I am putting in every last little expense. So that was a little side story, but what I want to share with you is that if you're in a bad spot or you're not proud of your spot, you can get out of it. You just have to face it. This book, Profit First, really allows an entrepreneur to see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you're just getting started, it's going to give you the strength to maintain a disciplined book, to create a disciplined mindset that will help you have disciplined books. One of the first topics that he covers is that he believes that you should flip the script, because most businesses, what they do is they take in revenue, they pay all their employees and expenses and marketing and leases and utilities, and then what's ever left at the end is what they pay the owner. What he says is, no, you need to flip that. You need to decide what you're going to make first and then pay yourself first and then pay everybody else after that. Well, if you're listening to my advice, I believe that you should give 10% away first. I'm not going to say that you should pay yourself first, but that's what he says in the book. I'm more of a hybrid where I do both. So the first thing he asks you to do is to pay yourself first. So write that down. The next thing that he says is you need to create a world bank. That's an interesting concept. What he really means by that is that you should have 4 separate bank accounts. And I did this about 15 years ago, and it really helped with my businesses. So the first account you want to have is your personal account. All right. So when you get money into your business, you're supposed to then take that money out of the business and pay yourself. There's different ways to do that. If you're an S Corp, LLC, K1s, we're not going to get into that right now, but you want to have a separate account, because a lot of business owners will mix and mingle their accounts, personal and business, and that is just a recipe for disaster. Do not do that. Make sure you have 2 separate business accounts. The next thing you want to have is an operating account. So that operating account is where you actually have all of your business expenses coming in and out. That's where the deposits should be going. You should also have a tax account. And so you want, when that money goes into the business operating account, you then want to take the taxes, and I budget anywhere from 25% to 40% to go to taxes. I know that that's a big number, but I don't want to pay the tax man out of my personal account. I want to pay him out of the tax account. This took me a long time to figure out. And if you're starting a business, please hear me. You want to make sure that you have your taxes, and you want to make sure you have a separate account. You don't want to borrow from that account. You want to let it be. And then the last account is you want to have a savings account, a rainy day fund account. I call it a dream account, because what I do is I take excess, I divvy it all up, I give all that other things, and I have this dream account where I have a substantial amount of money where I am waiting for opportunities to either buy another business, pay for a house cash, look at other investment opportunities. And so if people looked at my balance sheet right now, there are a lot of business owners that would say, hey, that 4th account is unnecessary. That's fine. They can say that. But I'm positioning myself for the next opportunity. And that's what good entrepreneurs do. You cannot invest if you don't have excess. Write that down. You cannot invest if you don't have excess. And I make sure that I have excess so I'm ready for that next opportunity. The third thing is this: you want to create discipline in your life. Discipline actually brings freedom. So if you don't have those 4 accounts, your next step is to generate those 4 accounts. They're really easy to do. You want to have a personal account, business operating account, a tax account, and then I would file it as a dream account, opportunity account. Do that now. Remember what we talked about before, law of 72. You listen to this podcast. What are you going to do within 72 hours to have actionable steps for success? When you have discipline in how you spend, you have discipline in how you save, you will bring peace not only to yourself, but to those around you and your team members. I've had deep seasons of not having peace because I didn't have discipline. And I could tell you that my leadership style really was affected in a negative way because of that. And I'm, I think ashamed would be the word. I'm ashamed by some of the things that I said and did because I was full of anxiety because I lacked discipline. Don't be like me. Learn from my mistakes. Like I said, 20 years of hitting my head against a wall. Learn from me, all right? In his book, Profit First, he goes into some great accounts that you can get interest bearing. I'm not going to get into that right now. That means that these accounts are going to get you certain percentages. Right now, I just want you to open those 4 accounts. And the last thing is this: profit is fuel for purpose. If you're just trying to make $1, if you're just trying to be rich, I can just tell you that is a shallow pool, okay? And that pool is going to dry up. If you are trying to profit to help those around you, to better your community, to better your church, to better your family, to set up generational blessings, hey, that's purposeful. That's good. I think that that's wonderful. If you're just trying to get rich and get that new watch, and some people that works, but I don't know if it's going to work for decades. I would encourage you to find a purpose with your profit. Oh man, that's good. Don't make me jump up and down. You want to find purpose for your profits, okay? And I believe for me, that's setting up a generational blessing for my family. So not just me, not just my children, but my children's children. I pray for that every day. I have this simple prayer, 77 trees. It's from a book that I read, but basically I'm planting trees now that family members down the generations will harvest from. And I hope that they do the same. I don't want to start crying, but it is what drives me and hopefully will drive you. So to recap, right? You want to give. You want to pay yourself first. You want to open up 4 accounts. You want to have purpose in your profits. I believe you did a really great job in the book, Profit First. You can get it on audio. You can buy it hard copy. I read it twice. I read a lot of books a lot of times. I probably won't read this book a 3rd time, but I do highly recommend it if you're an entrepreneur or if you want to look at your life like a business. When we come back, I'm going to tell a DanCan musings about somebody who really blessed a stranger, and you may want to do the same.
Tired of missing real estate deals because you were waiting for the bank to approve your funding? At Wave Capital Investing, we get you funded fast with flexible terms and a streamlined process. No red tape, no stress. Apply today at wavecapitallending.com and ride the wave to your next successful real estate investment.
Hey, DanCan musings, here we go. My Mariners are on fire right now. I just got to bring that up. They just took 2 from Toronto. I'm sorry. I know there's some Toronto fans out there, but you do have a World Series ring. We do not. So that's good. The last couple ones have been about baseball. This one is about a mentor of mine. And I know that there's a stigma out there that rich people are a certain way. I know that the media oftentimes tries to portray profit and wealth as negative. I'm not going to say that that's not warranted, but I'm also going to say it's definitely plugged out there for us to believe that. This is a story that had a huge impact on me for a variety of reasons. One of my mentors, who I love dearly, he called me, and he doesn't call too often. And so I thought something was up. So I called him because I'm usually initiating with him. He called me. I picked up. And he asked me not to use his name, so I'm not going to. And I said, hey, how are you doing? He said, great. He said, Dan, I got to tell you this story. He says, I have a lot of friends, but a lot of my friends won't understand why I did this, but I know that you will. And I said, wow, great. Like, I want to hear this story. So he was going to the laundromat, the dry cleaner, and he obviously was picking up some clothes. So he came into the laundromat, the dry cleaner, and grabbed his clothes, cordial hi, how are you doing? And the owner of the laundromat, the dry cleaner, said, well, things aren't going so well. I've really enjoyed you as a customer, but I'm sad to say that we're having to close our business. And my mentor said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He goes, basically said, if you don't mind me asking, why do you have to close the business? And he said, well, our equipment is continually breaking and it's just not profitable. And the strain of everything is just too much. We can't borrow from any money, capital from banks right now, because during COVID, dry cleaners in particular did really, really poorly. And so banks won't lend, and our bank won't lend us, but we need some capital expenditures. We need to replace our equipment. And so my mentor said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And basically told him, I really enjoyed working with you. You guys do a great job. And he could tell that the owner was, struggling emotionally. Could you imagine telling every customer coming in about this season of your life, what was viewed as probably failure? And so my mentor then grabs his stuff, his items. He goes in his car and he sits in his car and he goes to start it. And he felt like the Lord had spoken to him and said, what are you doing? And basically said, you have the capacity to help these people. And so my mentor said, I'm in. And he goes, not today. He walked back in to that dry cleaner. He got the owner's attention and he said, how much do you need? And the owner said, need for what? He's like, how much money do you need to replace your equipment? And the owner gave him a number. And he said, okay, what was the bank going to charge you? And he gave him the number on interest. And my mentor said, that's way too high. I will charge you this. I'm your guy. You have your money. I believe in you and what you're doing. Go buy the equipment. You're not shutting down. What generosity, what impact my mentor had on that business owner. Think about that business owner and the tears that he must have had talking to his wife about potentially shutting down their dream, the service and the relationships that they had in the community. And my mentor sat in his car and said, not today. That's so powerful. And that's what profit can do. That's what excess can do. When you save, when you have the ability to help those that can't help themselves. What a beautiful, beautiful story of listening to the Holy Spirit. What a beautiful story of helping a man in need when it seemed like everything was done. And the Lord and my friend said, not today. I hope that you were encouraged by this DanCan musing. You can see why I enjoy this mentor so much. When we come back, I'm going to tie it all together.
One accident can change everything. Are you covered? At DanCan Insurance Agency in Spokane, we protect what matters most: your family, your car, your peace of mind. Get a free quote in a timely fashion. DanCan, because you can count on us. DanCan Insurance Agency specializes in auto, home, motorcycles, and life insurance. Call us today at 509-328-1422.
Welcome back. I wiped away the tears. I'm a passionate person, if you haven't picked up on that. Proud of my friend. Proud of the marketplace. That's why I spend my time in it. It's my calling. I'm a marketplace minister. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that, but that's how I view my life. I'm a marketplace minister. So this was a book report. It was on Profit First, the 4 concepts of, I'm going to throw a 5th one in there, which is give 10%, and then pay yourself first. Have 4 different bank accounts, right? Have purpose in your profits. Enjoy discipline. That's the overview of the concepts. And I know I can briefly say those things, but basically it's a lifelong journey of wisdom. All of those concepts have wisdom inside of them. The beauty of life is exploring that, acting on it, failing in it, getting back up, trying again. This is the beauty of life. This is the struggle of man on this earth in this imperfect world. I believe in the marketplace that we can help people, and we can help people daily. The DanCan Musings was about a dear friend of mine, my mentor, who changed a family's life, who blessed the community because he had the capacity, he had the means and the capacity and the motive to do it. Hopefully you're encouraged by that. If you can help somebody in need, I know in my life, I have been radically blessed by my mentors who helped me when I was in really, really bad spots. Maybe I'll share some of that generosity of those stories. I will not say their names because I know that they would be embarrassed by that, and they asked me not to. Hey, I believe in impact. I believe in reading books that you can learn a lot. I have a list of what I call the impact books, 5 impactful books in my life. If you want to be an entrepreneur, a real estate investor, or if you want to live your life as a business, just email me. I will gladly send those to you. DanCan@wavecapitallending.com. Once again, that's DanCan@wavecapitallending.com. These books are very, very impactful. I believe it is our role as leaders to provide, protect, and promote. I believe that this podcast is about investing in yourself, others, and businesses. The businesses that I choose to invest in are insurance and real estate. There are a wide variety of other businesses out there that can bring you financial success so that you can help your family and your community. Thank you so much for your time. If you found this podcast, if it gave you value, if it gave you comfort, if it encouraged you, if you could leave a review, or if you could go even a step further and text the link to 3 of your friends that they might enjoy hearing about what they could do in the marketplace, how they can get their finances in order and bless those around them, that would really mean a lot to me. And as always, DanCan listeners, love well and do good.